Sup? This is Alex Chu. Hey, today I want to talk about a subject, okay? About why you should never ever buy a classic car. Okay, I mean, I own lots of classic cars in my life, and now I just want to. I'm not buying classic cars anymore. I mean, I will never ever buy a classic car again. Okay, and here are the reasons why. But before, I'm going to give you 10 reasons why you should not buy the classic car, okay? But before I give you the reason why you should not buy a classic car, I just want to tell you, my name is Alex Chu. I'm the guy who invented the physical immortality rings. These are the rings that you put on your small fingers. That'll make you live forever. You know, if you are interested in the immortality rings, okay, which makes you live forever, you go to livemuchlonger.com. Livemuchlonger.com. Okay? Now, I'm going to give you 10 reasons why you should not buy a classic car. The first reason is the most minimal. I mean, it's the most unimportant, okay? And the number 10, the last reason is the most important, okay? First reason, it's about insurance. You know, sometimes you buy a classic car, or, you know, a lot of these classic cars are modified. They are like, you know, kit cars or hot rod, and or the engine has been replaced, and you know, it's the car, but it's not the original engine and stuff like that. A lot of times, you know, you need special insurance. You know, a lot of times, regular insurance company, they're not going to accept it. And if you try to insure this car with your regular insurance company, they won't accept it. So they say you have to go to a specialty insurance, the specialty insurance company that insures these classic cars. They're not extremely expensive, but then they have like rules. They have all sorts of rules. They're going to ask you, do you have a new car? You know, any car that's like 3 years and younger. You know, if you don't have a new car, then those classic car insurance, they're going to be afraid. They're going to be afraid to help you insure this classic car because they think you're some crazy asshole who's going to drive this classic car as a daily driver. And they don't want that because classic car insurance it's relatively cheaper, and then you know, but then you know the insurance company, they understand it's more expensive to fix a classic car, you know, and there's probably more problem with the classic car. So it's like you have to go through this whole procedure, you know, and sometimes you tell them, oh, I want to insure this classic car, and you give them all the details, and guess what? Sometimes they never call you back, you know. So number one is the insurance issue, okay. Second, you know, when you buy a classic car, you need a garage, you know. If you think you want to buy a classic car and just park it on the street, forget it. Don't even think about it, because classic cars have lots of rust, okay? Unless it's a show car. You know, if it's a show car, you definitely need a garage, am I right? If it's just a piece of junk classic car, you don't want to park that shit outside because it's already rusting, you know? You park it outside, it's going to gain even more rust. Within a year, you know, it becomes a junkyard car. You just need to throw it away. So you need to have a garage. It occupies a garage, you know? I recommend a garage for your new car, not your old car, you know. Number 3, okay, the reason is health. You know, these classic cars, they're not healthy, you know, because they produce lots of smog, you understand. They're extremely unhealthy. You know, if you're a younger guy who's 20-year-old, you don't mind buying a classic car, right? But then guess what? Once you get to 10 years later, you're 30-year-old, then you feel it, you know. You could smell the smog, you know. And a lot of times, the classic cars, the engine, the intake manifold, you know, and the intake manifold, the sealants, okay, it's basically a cracked, and the smog, okay, the exhaust just come out of the engine and it goes directly into your passenger seat, you know. And many classic car has that problem, you know. Although there is no hole in your smog pipe, okay, there is no hole in your exhaust pipe, but the smog comes directly out of the engine, out of the intake manifold, and it comes into your driver's seat. Ugh. Many, I would say 50%, at least 50% and higher, these classic cars, you can smell the exhaust from the passenger seat, you know. And in order to combat that problem, you have to take the engine out. You have to take the whole engine out. You have to seal up the intake manifold and then put the engine back in. You're talking about like $8,000 or $9,000 for that job, you know. And okay, number 4 is, if you want to have a classic car, you need to have a show car. You understand? If you just buy a piece of junk classic car, you know, first of all, it makes you look stupid. You know, you're driving a piece of shit car. People, they're not proud of you. You know, the people on the street, when they see you driving a piece of shit, a classic car, they don't envy you. They think you're stupid. They think you're... They might think you're some homeless man. They might think you're, oh, this man is so poor. He has to drive this piece of shit car. He cannot afford a new car. And they actually think you're a homeless man. It's not good, you know. Number 5 reason is mile per gallon, okay? You know, classic cars, they eat a lot more gas, you understand? So I had a classic car. I had a 1990, okay? It's 1990 Jaguar, you know? Sovereign. And I was so shocked, man. That car, it was eating like 15 miles per gallon, you know? I mean, it's even worse than my Rolls Royce. I had a 1969 Rolls Royce that does about 18 miles per gallon, you know. And this 1990 Sovereign Jaguar, it's even worse. It's like, it eats 15 miles per gallon. So if I drive to from San Francisco to San Jose and back, that trip alone, okay, from San Francisco to San Jose, that's 50 miles apart, right? Go to San Jose and come back, costing me $90. It's fucking ridiculous, you know. And after, it's just so ridiculous, you know. Mile per gallon, okay. And number 6, classic car is a money pit. I'm serious, this is a money pit, you know, because it's like these class, for example, again, my 1990 Jaguar, you know, if I just forget to pull up the handbrake, you know, I forgot to put down the handbrake. And what happens is, I scraped the rear drum brake for just a while, just for like 1 minute or something. That job alone costed me $700. Why? Because it's a classic car. You understand? These parts are expensive, and then dealers, you know, the dealers or mechanics, they try to rip you off. They see that you bring in a classic car. They think you have money, and they'll rip you off. You understand? And so it's a money pit. Number 7 is classic cars parts are rare, and also mechanics are rare. Do not think that, oh, I can buy this classic cars, so if shit happens, I'll just go to my mechanic. That is not true. A lot of mechanics, they don't know how to deal with these car parts. For example, I had a 1969 Rolls Royce, right? You know, when that car broke down, I mean, it didn't break down. It's just that it started to leak. Brake fluid. Okay, it started to leak brake fluid, and my mechanics, they didn't know what to do with it. You know, they said the only thing to do is overhaul the entire brake line. That's gonna cost like maybe $3,000 or $4,000. You know, there's no easy fix. And then the parts are rare, and then they don't know where to start, you know. And then I have to go to a special guy, and he wants to charge like, around $4,000. But you know what? At the end, I was clever. I added some. No, I did it by accident. I accidentally added a steering fluid into my brake fluid. That actually solved the problem. I don't know why, but that saved me a lot of money. But if I didn't do that, oh my god, it would cost me like $3,000, $4,000, you know. So even, I mean, the parts are so rare that you just can't, you know, the parts are rare, and also the mechanics are limited, you know, for a classic car, okay? The number 8th reason is age gap, okay? Let's say if you are 30-year-old, if you're 30-year-old right now, right? Why the fuck are you buying a 1960s muscle car? Why are you doing that, you know? It makes you look older, you understand? It's like, when people see you, you're a 30-year-old man, you know, you have potential, you look like a successful guy. It's like, why the fuck are you buying a 1960s muscle car? Whatever it is, you know, like in muscle Chrysler Imperial or Ford Mustang. It's like that car is like almost 60-year old. You understand? And you're just 30, and people think you're just a goddamn geek. Imagine, hey, you're 30 now. 10 years later, you're 40. Okay, that car is 70-year old. If you bought a 1960 some Ford Mustang or something, when you reach 40-year old, that car is 70-year old. I mean, it belongs in a museum. You understand? And people eventually will not understand why a young man like you would drive that kind of car. And let's say if you are an old man, let's say you're 50 or 60-year old. Okay. When you buy a classic car, let's say from the 1960s or even 1950s, it makes you look so much older. If you are a 50-year-old and you're driving a classic car from the 60s, from the 50s, you know what? People think you're a 70-year-old. You understand? It makes you look old. It doesn't make you look good. See, back in the days, in the 1990s or 2000, if you're a 30-year-old, you bought a 1965 Ford Mustang or something. Oh yeah, it makes you look cool. You understand? You look like a baller. You look like the player. But then, because that car is just around 30-year-old, 35-year-old, you look like the shit. But now it's close to 2020. You buy a 1960 some car, and that car is almost 50-year-old, almost 60-some-year-old. If you're an old man, 50-year-old man, you buy that shit, it makes you look old. If you're a young man, people think you're a goddamn geek. People think you're weird. And the number nine's reason, nobody cares about classic cars anymore. You see anybody driving classic car? You can drive whole day. You drive on highway, drive on the street. You see anybody driving classic car? Nobody. Back in the days, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, I see people driving it. When you see some other people driving classic car, yeah, it's sort of fun to drive a classic car yourself. You understand? But nowadays, ain't nobody driving no classic car. Nobody drives that shit. So suddenly you're driving a classic car. People don't know what to think of you. People think are you a geek? Are you a fucking nerd? Or are you just really, really old? Are you like a grandfather or something? People don't know what to think of you. So it sort of took the fun out of it when nobody's driving that shit, and you're the only one who's driving it. And the most important reason, the number 10th reason, is girls don't like classic cars. Today's girls, they don't like that shit. Girls they like Facebook, they like Instagram, they like, the new gadgets, iPhone and iPads and all that stuff, Girls actually like it more if you have a neat Facebook page, or if you have your own website or something, or you have your own YouTube channel or something. They actually think that's cool. But if you're some guy who's driving a classic car from the 60s or 70s, girls they think you're nuts. They think you're weird. They think you're some kind of nerd. They think you are a nutcase that's frozen in time. They don't find that appealing anymore. It's back in the days. It's cool. I want to buy a classic car. I want to buy a convertible to get the girls. But nowadays, girls don't think like that anymore. The moment that girls, you show her your classic car, the moment she smells the exhaust, she thinking, oh no, this is not working. This date is not working. And she will simply put you in the friend zone. You're on your friend zone on her Facebook. Girls don't care anymore. Girls actually like modern cars. Girls have no taste for classic cars. So I don't know. And now and then also, just like what I said, classic car. If you drive a classic car, they think you're a geek, or they think you really are older than you appear. Let's say if you're 30-year-old, you're driving a classic car. Girls think that you might be 40, and you say you're only 30. The girls think that you're lying about your age, But anyway, that's all I want to say about classic car for today. I'll talk to you later.